Hi, dear Bashar. Shalom and Namaste. My name is Amir Or Hamenata. I have a question for you that, regarding to the Hebrew tribe, if you can please tell me about the Hebrew tribe, exactly where did they come from, and what is their mission from your perspective. I love to hear this answer. I heard from my beloved teacher, Junvelo Melchizedek. He says once that the Hebrew wrote the Bible from the future, even the Torah from the future, and also that they came from out of this planet. And I've been hearing so many interesting things and different types of versions, and I really love to hear to have much more light about this very important topic for me. So if you can please shine your loving light upon this, that's my question. I want to say thank you very much, dear Bashar, for all that you do. Toda, Shivai, and Shalom. God bless.
This is a very complex question with an answer that we cannot go into in great detail at this time. We will give you this and this only today. The original idea, of course, always, as everything, goes back to the Anunnaki, comes through the idea of Atlantis, genetically speaking, maintained more to a high degree of some of the Anunnaki genetics in Atlantis, came into the idea of Egypt, utilizing some of the Atlantean awareness, and went through Egypt and came out into what you now call the Middle East, still bearing strong extraterrestrial connections because of the genetic makeup that connects them to the original Anunnaki. In a sense, it is a preservation of those original genetics that can be spread around the world in a way that will allow for a greater sense of the opening of those markers genetically within many people, because there is now a high degree of mixture among all humans, that those genetics were preserved in the way that they were by leading certain groups from Atlantis through Egypt into the Middle East, spreading out from there in a variety of ways. This affords more opportunity for the idea of the hybridization agenda to succeed, and also more opportunity for the human race to evolve to its next phase as the sixth hybrid race. 6, as above, so below, the Jewish star. That is the answer we can give today.
Hi.
And good day.
A number of years ago, I had an experience. I was researching some sightings in Mexico, and I went to go turn my light off. And as I did that, I saw out my window 2 humanoid beings. I approached, and there was they were female appearing, blonde hair, sharp features. And as I walked towards the window, one of them reached their arms through the glass, grabbed my arm, and then we sort of shot up. I remember saying to myself that I wasn't ready, and then fell back into my bed.
All right.
So since then, I've had a couple of smaller experiences, and I've begun to connect in different ways and channel a little bit, or interpret something. Specifically, I wanted to know how to get into contact with them, but those 2 beings and what exactly they were. I have some concept, but
they were a type of hybrid.
What's that?
Type of hybrid.
Okay. Which type?
We're not allowed to discuss that exactly yet.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. But then how to better get in contact in general, but then being able to hone in specifically on that energy and get into contact with that.
Well, as you drift off to sleep and relax, by remembering that incident and at the same time feeling the energy you felt, feeling how you felt at that moment when that was happening, visualizing it, and asking for more conscious recognition on your own terms to participate with them, you might be able to invite them back. I'm not saying it's an absolute, but you might be able to do that. And at the very least, by remembering how that felt as you're drifting off, as you're relaxing your conscious mind, at the very least, you might open yourself up to other beings who are willing to interact with you at that particular moment. But again, remember, put it out there that you are willing to interact, take responsibility for your part in it, and that you would prefer to interact on your own terms.
Okay, that makes sense. And as far as like how we can like adjust our physical body to best like get ourselves like conducive or
follow the formula.
Continuously follow the formula.
As you follow the formula, as you act on your passion, what are you doing? You're raising your frequency. As you raise your frequency, what are you doing? You're making yourself a better and more receptive antenna to higher frequency energies and dimensions of reality. So it's automatically built into the formula that you would be more open by acting on your passion to interactions with other beings who are already operating on such a level.
Even down to like the physical components of like what to eat and sleep, like sleeping patterns and things like that.
Everything will match the idea of your natural biological rhythms when you are in sync with yourself, which is what following the formula will help you do.
Okay, that makes sense. Aside from like the purely like psychosomatic parts of it, like the idea of like our own consciousness and subconsciousness being the actual results of like our physical body, is there any like effect of like healing energies or like healing philosophies like Reiki that like from my understanding were used by like previous masters?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay. Just in the power of like, from what I'm understanding, it's like almost like a collective energy that they're like tapping into and like becoming a vessel.
Some of them do it that way, yes. But again, please always remember, a healer is only giving off a vibration that the person requiring the healing needs to match in order to heal themselves.
Sure, but there's still a lot of validity to the actual like tapping into and channeling of that vibration so that another person that might not like otherwise be aware of it is aware of it.
Yes, you become a conduit and an example of what might be more probable.
Okay, so it's really like the example is in that sense like through the mere like resonating of a frequency.
Yes, which goes hand in hand with you being in the vibration of your passion and the commensurate actions you take that go along with it that make you a living example of that frequency. So in a sense, by acting on your passion, you become a conduit that increases the probability of the existence and exposure to those frequencies to give more people more opportunity to match those frequencies.
Okay, I get it. It's almost like a spilling over effect that once there's more, it can become more over to that.
Yes, you increase the probability, you give them more opportunities to choose that by making them aware that such a thing exists, at least on some level of their consciousness.
So you could say that like one of those like previous masters or like these like Tibetan monks who used it and things like that, they just became a conduit of very high probability.
Exactly.
To take them.
Exactly.
Okay. So much so that they could even like imbue sort of like an object through the mere like suggestion of it, like, hey, carry.
Permission slips can be part of the process if that's what works for different belief systems. You see, what we're describing to you here is exactly what happens on our world when we say we operate in pure synchronism, and that there can be not a government, but an organizing body that chooses to function in a way that increases the probability for all of us of experiencing synchronism.
Gotcha.
So that's what we're talking about.
So like meeting basic survival needs would be a very easy, accessible thing to increase probability for
the 7 basic needs that you need to thrive as a physical being are automatically met, and they're included in the idea of acting on the formula as well.
Okay.
Synchronicity is the organizing and guiding principle that will attract everything you need if you don't get in the way.
So really, we don't necessarily need to even like know all the different aspects of it, but just follow synchronicity and passion.
Yes, because it's going to bring you what works for you. Because why would it bring you something that wouldn't work for you unless you have asked it to?
Sure, yeah. And then, like, not to say that doesn't happen with like sloppy thinking, but
right.
As far as like the specific belief systems and specific ideologies to get through that sort of, we are just delivered to you in that synchronicity.
When you are within alignment in your belief system and being your true self, everything that is germane and relevant for that true self can do nothing but manifest in perfect timing.
Sure. Okay.
You can only experience the vibration you put out. You cannot experience a vibration you're not putting out.
So, and then to the converse of that, if you experience anything else, then you must be putting out a vibration.
Correct. And that's the self-correcting mechanism. If you get a reflection you don't prefer, that's not an invalidation. It's just an objective observation. Then the question is, what are my beliefs that are generating this kind of reflection? And by staying in a positive state, you can use what you don't prefer in a way that you do by learning the lesson of why it's there, because there's got to be a reason that it happened.
Sure. Is it always necessarily like a direct reflection that?
No. As we have said, especially interacting with other people, it's not always a one-to-one reflection just because they're in your life and they may be somebody that's not necessarily vibrationally completely compatible with you, but you may be willing to be a vibrational conduit for them to get out of that whatever they needed by showing up in your life.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, I know. That's why I said it.
Fair. Well, thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Good day.
Good day.
Aveo, Bashar. And thank you for your high vibrational formula. Where does love figure into that equation? Thank you.
Love is the vibration of existence itself. Unconditional love is how you translate the vibration of existence itself. And therefore, the formula being that it helps you raise your vibration to be more compatible vibrationally with the frequency of existence itself is something that permeates the entirety of the formula.
Hello there, hello Bashar. My name is Benny. I'm from Portugal and France. I have a question about existence. There is something that I don't quite understand, which is how can existence be unaware of itself? If we eventually all go back to the source at some point, how can this part of all there is, which is aware of itself, at some point become unaware of itself when she goes back to the source? Thank you. Bye, Bashar.
You're thinking linearly. You don't go back to a source. And the idea of the portion of the one and all that is exists simultaneously. The idea of the one that isn't aware of itself exists simultaneously with the expression of the one that is aware of itself. That's why we refer to it differently as all that is. But you don't go back to it in the linear sense. I understand what you mean by the question, but that's not exactly how it works, mechanically speaking. You can raise your vibration, you can become your version of all that is, but the idea is that because you are a reflection and self-aware, you never actually become unaware. You are representative of the portion of the one that is aware. It's just that the portion that is not aware also exists simultaneously with the portion that is. Therefore, you do exhibit both, but you will never be aware of the portion of yourself that is unaware of itself. So why bother to focus on it?
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good day. So I kind of want to start with like a deep dive.
Go as deep as you wish.
Thank you. Okay, so linearly speaking, I know that there is no linear time, but yet here...
Well, there is an experience of linear time, but
yes.
Time itself, yes, is a created side effect.
Okay. And what I've been processing the past few days has been some old layers surfacing related to having sexual encounters.
Yes.
And
But remember, they're not old in and of themselves. You're simply recreating them in the present
okay.
for whatever reasons you believe you need to.
Okay. And I feel like one of the reasons why I need to is because I feel like I want to, on some level, be of service to other women and people who have had experiences. And
how would you like to go about doing that?
in a fun way, in a
All right. Well, is your imagination up to the task?
yes.
All right. So what's the issue?
I think sometimes I get maybe too insistent on, like,
Yeah.
I guess I just want to be sure I'm coming at this from like the right angle. And
All right. Well, as long as you are concerned that you might not be coming at it from the right angle, you will probably continue to course correct yourself.
okay, that's helpful.
Yes. Because people, in a sense, that continuously don't necessarily come at it from a positive angle usually never think about course correcting themselves. They simply think they're right. And that's where the insistence comes from.
Okay.
They think they know better than someone else what someone else's life path has to be. So as long as you understand that you're here to be of service by sharing what it is you wish to share that is representative of your passion, doing it in the way that's exciting and fun for you and helpful, other people will pick up on it to whatever degree they need to. But what other people do with what you have to share is none of your business.
Okay.
Because you don't know what they need and what they don't need at this particular moment. They'll ultimately take care of themselves, but you have already helped them by at least giving them an option. They don't have to choose it, but now that they're aware of it, they might incorporate it at some point in their lives, sooner or later, but that really doesn't matter because that's up to them. You have helped just by providing information that you believe is helpful from your point of view. And that's why you don't need to be insistent about it, because you know that everyone is fundamentally an eternal, infinite being. There's no hurry. They'll get the idea somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
So, what's your rush?
Right. Ooh, I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just be of help. That's all you can do.
Okay. That feels really good.
Remember, you will attract the audience for whom your particular help works. You will never attract the audience for whom it doesn't.
Okay.
So why, as you say, why sweat it?
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Oh.
That's a good hint. Thank you.
You're welcome. We love giving hints. Anything else?
Yeah. So this is okay. So I recently had an experience of being in multiple places at once and in multiple states at once.
How exciting.
It was really exciting and I really loved it. And in the midst of this experience, I was having a challenging conversation with someone that I love. And,
Yes.
I learned
You stretched yourself out to connect to other things more consciously so you could bring that information and experience to bear in your conversation?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you. And in the midst of the challenge, I asked my guides, because I was feeling kind of frustrated with this challenge in the moment. And I asked my guides, why am I experiencing this challenge? And you just told me. And also, they said something along the lines of, you're experiencing a soul fracture. And I know that the soul can't be fractured, but I wanted to get your take on that.
Well, yes, again, you had certain preconceived notions that you needed to divest yourself of. And so you had to sort of, well, create an experience that I suppose euphemistically could be called a soul fracture. Not, again, as you say, that the soul can be fractured per se. But you can create an experience as if it is, so that you can start to view yourself in all the different compartments you may have created within your consciousness that hold contradictory and different belief systems that don't necessarily work together, so that you could see those contradictions, bring yourself back together more holistically to move forward from that point.
Beautiful. Yes. And as
It's
you read my energy,
looking into a hall of mirrors and seeing a multitude of reflections, and the reflections each reminding you that you're the source of all the reflections, so you can come back into the center in a more holistic and unified way.
yeah.
So it's not that the soul is fracturing in the literal physical sense. It's more the idea that the illusion created makes it appear, makes all the different ideas within you appear to be separated for a moment, so you can see them individually more clearly and take an assessment of which ones work for you to remain the way they are, or whether you wish to change the frequency of any of the reflections so that you can function more holistically in a more integrated way.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Ha'atu.
Aveo.
Hello, Bashar. My name is Vili and I come from Slovenia. Around 6 years ago, I went through a breakup in which I received help from many different beings, including you, so I would like to thank you for that. One of those beings came to me in my dreams and sang me a very beautiful song. This being was a woman, spirit woman with a yellow energy, so I would like to know who was that. Also, I would like to know to which star systems am I connected to. Thank you very much. I love you. Goodbye.
It was a guide. There are some extraterrestrial connections that you have to Sirius, to Pleiades, and a few other things, but that's what we'll give you for now. Pleasant dreams.
Hello, Bashar. First, let me thank you. Thank you a lot for all the teachings and all the transmissions and the wisdom that you shared with us. My passion, my excitement is all about music, frequency, singing. I'm really passionate about using my voice and also helping others to use theirs. At the moment, I have committed to learning lucid dreaming, and I'm working on a mantra soundscape type of structure thing. I have written a melody and lyrics, and now I'm looking for a specific pitch, a frequency basis for this piece to be performed on. The idea is that I will record it and then it should be used to fall asleep. So primarily I do it for myself, but I hope to be able to share it if it's effective for more people. And so while falling asleep, I would like to pick the best frequency to induce lucid dreaming. So I hope you can give me some guidance with possibly a specific frequency, or maybe some feedback on this process I'm doing. Thank you, and my unconditional love to you.
A combination of the Schumann resonance, 7.85 cycles per second, along in combination with middle C will help you. 440 hertz.